Russia returns gay men who escaped torture to Chechen police. 2 gay men fled to Russia after escaping alleged torture in Chechnya. On February 3rd, they were seized by Russian police and taken back to Chechen police. Sake Magamadov and Ismail Asayev, the latter of whom is only 17 years old, escaped the Chechen police in April 2020. They were initially detained for moderating a Telegram channel, which is an instant messaging app, which exposed the government's hostile human rights activities. While incarcerated, both men were tortured, and along with 9 other teens who were allegedly compelled to make humiliating apology videos. After Magamadov and Isayev successfully escaped Chechnya's authorities, the LGBT network facilitated their relocation a few months later to settle in a Russian town. In recent years, several reports of abductions, mass detentions, torture, and human rights violations against gay men in Chechnya have emerged. Ramzan Kadyrov, the regional authoritarian leader, consistently denies the reports. He also declared that no LGBT people exist in Russia's North Caucasus, which is predominantly Muslim. So, Rivka,
this is pretty terrible. I feel sorry for those guys. They thought that, they were going to be at least somewhere with a modicum of safety. And it's really sad. I think it's also pretty sad that this has sort of fallen off the radar, that people seem to have almost forgot that this is going on in Chechnya. And this sort of coincides with a lot of the anti-LGBT sentiment that's happening in Russia as well, which I think in general is part of this definite fundamentalist, right-wing populist narrative, which talks about, things used to be better. And because LGBT rights or identities or people being open about it was frowned upon in the past, even though it existed, a lot of people may not have been aware of it. So that meant that it used to be better then, that this is some modern, terrible manifestation of modernity that we have this. And so we need to pull the future back to the past by LGBT stuff and people that we, don't understand in our community, whatever. So I think this is just a manifestation of that happening in Russia, as well as the religious manifestation happening to the Chechens government.
Yeah, there's so much we could get into in terms of like the recent LGBT complete crackdown that's been happening in the Chechen region. Like the reports of what they do to these gay men is next level heinous. I wanted to, Armin, can you scroll down and click on that Instagram post? So this is an important organization. It's called Rusa LGBT, and it's one of the it's the most prominent Russian-speaking LGBT organization that I'm aware of. I believe the founder is basically a Russian refugee now living in the US. But in the live chat, I just posted a link to a petition that they started. And they are calling upon the Biden administration to take action to support these men and also just LGBT rights in the region as well. And as you can see, if you're watching, it says 2 gay men forcibly returned to Chechnya. They are in mortal danger. I do believe that they are in mortal danger. So this was interesting. So this authoritarian dictator, it's not. I think it's like a regional dictatorship. Anyways, so Ramzan Kadyrov, he was appointed by Putin. He's basically like his puppet. And he was officially sanctioned by the U.S. State Department last July. In 2017, then Vice President Joe Biden chastised and condemned the Chechen leadership. Quote, "I'm disgusted and appalled by reports from both the Russian media and non-governmental organizations that authorities in the Russian Republic of Chechnya have rounded up, tortured, and even murdered individuals who are believed to be gay. When faced with such crimes of hate and inhumanity, it is the responsibility of every person of conscience to speak out and to oppose this campaign of violence before it continues further." And then he concluded, the United States must lead the way to demand an end to these egregious violations in the U.S. And the Treasury Department has confiscated many Chechnyan assets. So I could get into a little bit more of the actual abduction of these men if people are interested. But I think it's important to highlight this news because I don't think this has been talked about as frequently as it used to be in around the 2017 period. Yes, but it's really horrific. The way that they were kidnapped is really disturbing. And yeah, do you guys have more feedback?
I wanted to say one thing too, is that I want people to really understand that this is a familiar political tactic that Russian and Chechen, which historically for a long time had been part of Soviet Union, and some of the same tactics are being used, and particularly because there's a religious spin on it, it has the religio/political nature of Islam. This is a political tactic that Russia uses and has used for a very long time. To have a group, get everyone to blame them so they're not looking at what the government is doing to everybody else. So this was a lot of the fomentation of the pogroms, and a lot of the anti-Semitism was really in some ways, a political tactic to get peasants, serfs, working class people who were discriminated against, but people who were not being served by the government, to fight someone else rather than turn that anger on the government, which is just typical. And I'm not saying all Russian people are bad or all Russian government. I just know that this is a very long-standing way to enact,
I think
government control.
Oh, thank you guys for signing the petition. So one thing that was in this article on our website that I thought was some interesting background is that women have also been held under similar circumstances, though the Chechen government prefers to use their families to punish them. Chechen authorities adhere to the Stalinistic practice of quote-unquote shared responsibility. They often blame the LGBT detainees' families for poorly raising them as quote-unquote public enemies. Instead, authorities will punish them if they do not help, abuse, or even murder the gay victims in honor killings. Often, families will be imprisoned, blackmailed, harassed, or killed if their suspected LGBT family member flees the region. So, some collectivism, some taste of collectivism and collective punishment right there.
Some Stalinist techniques.
Yeah, you gotta love it. So yeah, guys, if you have more news about the Chechen region, please send it to me because I'd like to follow this more closely. And shouts out to Rusa LGBT because they're actually how I first found out about this story.
And the people in the live chat that say petitions don't work, you're an idiot. You have no idea how sometimes it does work. And congratulations on being a moron. And also subscribe to our newsletter, because if we get removed from all these platforms, at least we could reach out to you. And guys, by the way, if you subscribe to our newsletter, you get a free copy of where's your copy, Susanna? Get it. We're doing promotion. You get a free, it's not even promotion, it's free. Okay, so if you subscribe to our newsletter, link in the description, you get a free copy of Why There's No God. Come on, I'm handing it out for free. Okay, it's a bestseller on Amazon, and you get it for free. So subscribe to our newsletter, and you get a free copy of Why There's No God sent to you. Link in the description.